Good day, fellow adventurer, and welcome. My name is CO Matt, and today I will be doing my 5th Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remaster class overview. This time we're tackling the Bard. I'm going to try to keep these videos to about 10 to 12 minutes in length, so please bear with me if I don't cover everything on all the slides. The primary remaster change to the Bard, other than renaming a bunch of their class feats and composition spells, was to give them training in all martial weapons. This makes them the only full caster that can tout this at level 1, with the War Priest joining them at level 3. Though it could be argued that the Bard already had access to the best martial weapon for them, the Rapier, the thought of a Bard swinging around a great axe without needing feat investment is a bit hilarious. This being said, the Warrior Muse will require a change to its class feat, Martial Performance, in order to compensate for the change. Thankfully it was, and Martial Performance now can extend the duration of Courageous Anthem by 1 round after a successful strike, though this only applies once per casting. The Bard starts off with an impressive set of initial proficiencies that would rival that of even Martials. 8 HP is fine for a caster, and Charisma as a key ability score is iconic. Their Perception starts off as Expert, which is a rare sight to see as a caster. Saving throws are as expected, Expert in Will, with Trained in Fortitude and Reflex. They get training in their Magical Tradition, Occultism, and Performance, their signature skill. They also gain training in 4 skills of their choice, not counting background, and thanks to the remaster, the Bard is trained in simple weapons, martial weapons, and unarmed attacks. They get training in light armor, which is sufficient, and are trained in spell attacks and spell DC. The natural role that the Bard will fulfill will be Face. With their excellent charisma score, emphasis on performance, and excellent class feats, the Bard can easily provide this essential party role. Support almost goes hand in hand with the Bard as well, thanks to Courageous Anthem and other supportive composition spells. With plenty of debuffing options found on the Occult list, in addition to the Dirge of Doom composition, the Bard can also fulfill the debuffer role with aplomb. Spells aside, the Bard can also debuff using their charisma-based skills to Feint, Demoralize, and Bon Mot. The Enigma Muse can let the Bard lean into the Librarian role, but with their less than perfect intelligence, the Bard might struggle to keep up in terms of their bonus. Finally, the Warrior Muse allows the Bard to use weapons to good effect, as a successful strike will prolong their active Courageous Anthem, opening up their action economy for other options. Blasting is also an option, but will have to be a secondary role due to their limited number of spell slots and spells known. The Defender role is not recommended for the Bard. Despite having access to the shield spell as well as Rallying Anthem, their HP and AC won't be consistently high enough to avoid taking critical hits. The Bard, like most spellcasters, do not have many class features to speak of. Their Muse is the only option to choose at first level, and grants them a class feat and an additional spell to their repertoire. In addition, the Bard learns 2 composition spells, their equivalent of focus spells, and begin play with a focus pool of 1 point. Courageous Anthem is a composition cantrip which does not require a focus point, and buffs the attack, damage, and fear effect saves of those that can either see or hear the Bard's performance, including the Bard themselves. Counter Performance, on the other hand, does require a focus point, but lets you roll a performance check versus a saving throw with the auditory or visual effect. Do note that only 1 composition spell can be used per turn, and using another one, such as Counter Performance, will end the effect of any active composition. From here, the Bard does not receive any noteworthy class features, but do gain a 10th level spell slot at 19th level. The Bard currently has 4 muses to choose from when they start play. The Enigma Bard reprises the Librarian aspect of the Bard from Pathfinder 1, giving them an additional lore skill which can be used to recall knowledge for any topic, and they also add Sure Strike to their repertoire. Maestro focuses on composition spells, and gains the Lingering Composition spell, allowing them to potentially extend the effects of their composition at the cost of a focus point. Maestros also add Soothe to their repertoire. The Polymath focuses on the Bard's Jack-of-all-trades role, and gains versatile performance as a class feat, allowing them to use performance in lieu of making an impression, demoralize, and impersonate checks. For impersonate, this needs to be an acting performance. Additionally, you can use your proficiency rank in performance to meet the requirements of skill feats that require a particular rank in deception, diplomacy, or intimidation. Polymaths also gain Phantasmal Minion as a spell. Finally, the Warrior gains Martial Performance and Fear, the former of which extending a composition for 1 round once with a successful strike. This replaces their old benefit of receiving training in all martial weapons. The Bard's advancement is pretty nice in terms of how many bonuses they get, as well as when they get them. First, the reflex save increases to Expert at 3rd level, which is the fastest among casters. Fortitude follows suit at 9th level, and Will increases to Master at the same time. Will increases again to Legendary at 17th level, which is a great boon for the Bard to have. Their perception increases to Master at 11th level, at the same time their weapon proficiencies increase as well, while weapon specialization and armor expertise are attained at 13th level, which is standard fare for any caster. Though Courageous Anthem is a fantastic composition in and of its own, there are quite a few others that one should consider. Dirge of Doom is the most meta-relevant spell, only faltering against enemies immune to fear or mental effects, but providing a fantastic continual debuff that isn't contingent on a roll or save. Rallying Anthem is the defensive counterpart to Courageous Anthem, and can be a great secondary boon to give to your party in case they are already gaining a status bonus to their attack rolls through Bless or Heroism. Spell shapes present on the Maestro and Warrior lists can buff their composition spells or enhance allies' action economy, respectively, and are great additions to add to your repertoire. The Polymath's Esoteric Polymath line will eventually allow you to add spells of other traditions to your repertoire, which is a valuable addition to possess. Finally, Multifarious Muse allows you to mix and match muses to your liking. I particularly like the combination of Warrior and Maestro, which can allow you to extend a Fortissimo boosted Courageous Anthem with a successful strike. The Bard only knows 3 spells at each rank other than first, so it is imperative that you choose your spells wisely. There are a lot of buffs on the occult list, but all of them provide status bonuses. These will not stack with your compositions, so if you are planning on using Heroism, be sure to cast Dirge of Doom or Rallying Anthem instead of Courageous Anthem. Healing spells are few and far between on the occult list, but you get access to the best one at first rank, Soothe. Even though healing isn't your primary role, not having this spell can lead to some real trouble if your team's primary healer goes down. Debuffs are great, but do pay attention to some of the traits present on them. Many occult spells have the mental trait, and certain enemies will be immune to them. Slow, however, doesn't have this restriction, so feel free to use that one to your heart's content. For archetypes, the Dandy and Celebrity dedications are obvious picks for a bard leaning into the face role. These have utility both in and out of combat, and can definitely flesh out your character to a greater degree. Blessed One is a good example of a support archetype, giving bards additional healing and increasing their focus pool. Lore Master once again shows up on these guides because it provides Enigma Muses with an additional benefit, a +1 circumstance bonus to their bardic lore checks, a bonus that is always welcome. Finally, the Martial dedication can be taken in order to allow the bard to shine as a striker. I am aware that this archetype was seen as a support archetype on Fighter, but these serve different purposes. The point of a bard taking Martial is to begin striking with weapons in order to gain the benefits of Dread Martial Stance, or to take Inspiring Martial Stance paired with Rallying Anthem or Dirge of Doom. In any case, the bard will want to wade into melee, such that their teammates can also benefit from these buffs. Playing a bard is pretty straightforward. Using Detect Magic or repeating a spell can be useful for utility purposes. Alternatively, the bard can use their solid perception skills to search or investigate. Downtime mode will result in one of 2 activities most likely, earn income with performance, or gather information with diplomacy. Both of these options are excellent for a bard. In Encounter mode, you will want to set up compositions as soon as you get the chance to act. It is also important that your teammates make clever use of the delay action to wait until you can set up your buffs and debuffs before attacking. Blasting can be useful in a pinch, but should only be used after setting up all your other spells. This build sacrifices some of its physical stats to make way for a solid intelligence score. With access to Bardic Lore and its second level, the Lore Master archetype, this build can begin to recall knowledge against anything and everything, trying to eke out any possible information they can. An emphasis on the intelligence also provides a boon to occultism, their favorite tradition. The Maestro is your classic bard build, using their strong performances in order to buff allies and debuff opponents. This build focuses around the face roll and taking additional languages through the multilingual skill feat, and the second rank Translate spell will be imperative to accomplish this. With all these languages, Bon Mot also fits in as a great skill feat down the line to further complement their abilities. Their spells further reinforce their role by letting them influence others both in and out of combat with charm and command. This jack-of-all-trades build can be taken in different directions. Musical Prodigy is, once again, a must-have background in order to gain a scaling boost to their performance. Esoteric Polymath is going to be your second level feat here, in order to gain a spellbook to gain additional spells to potentially add to your repertoire. Down the line, you'll eventually be able to add a spell of a different tradition to your repertoire every day, which is a great way to expand your horizons. Though the stylish way to play a warrior bard is to get up close with a powerful two-handed weapon, this build actually uses the bow to great effect. With Sure Strike in play, you can continue to deal damage from afar while not needing to use a Courageous Anthem every round. With Multifarious Muse and Fortissimo, this can make for a dangerous combination at later levels. To conclude, the Bard has received a couple of quality of life upgrades for the remaster, the main one of which is receiving training in all martial weapons. Their playstyle remains pretty similar. buff allies, debuff enemies, and then attack or heal when needed. However, that certainly isn't a bad thing, as the Bard fills a very important niche in the Pathfinder 2e space, and is easily one of the best classes. The Bard is, without a doubt, the best face in the game, and provides much needed support options as well. That being said, it does have a few downsides. Without the normal array of damage dealing spells present on the Arcane and Primal spell lists, it will have a hard time targeting weaknesses. Also, the Bard's general reliance on mental-based spells will force them into secondary roles when fighting mindless enemies. For that reason, I give the Bard a rating of A+. Though many believe that the Bard is the best caster in the game, an opinion I very much am inclined to agree with, I don't agree that they have the same game-breaking potential that the fighter has. Additionally, I don't think the difference between the Bard and the next best caster is as big as the difference is between the fighter and the next best martial. Finally, I also believe that the value that a martial presents, at least in the first 10 levels, is greater than that of which the caster presents, and for all of those reasons, I cannot, in good faith, present a caster with the rank of S. Still, the Bard is an excellent caster with many unique playstyles and is certainly a great class to play. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for additional content. I plan on releasing one video of this type every week until I have covered every class, so do stay tuned. I currently do not have plans on doing these videos in any sort of order, but we'll make sure that every class is covered. You can check out the slides in the description below, and of course, have a great day.